I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? You know, this is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest.
Scottie Scheffler wasn't just another name on Team USA's roster. He was the crown jewel, the immovable anchor, the world #1 walking into Bethpage Black with the weight of a nation on his shoulders. The Ryder Cup was supposed to be his proving ground, the stage where his dominance would silence Europe and electrify the American crowd. But instead of a coronation, history was made for all the wrong reasons. From the very first match, something felt off. Scheffler's swing looked tight, his putts lipped out, and the pressure of expectation began to twist into visible frustration. By Friday night, whispers had already started. By Saturday, those whispers were headlines. Scheffler was losing, and not just once. He was on the brink of setting a record no world #1 would ever want. Could the most dominant golfer alive really collapse under the Ryder Cup lights? According to Reuters, it wasn't just a stumble, it was a slide into golf infamy. Scheffler walked away from day one winless, rattled, and visibly shaken. And then, as Newsweek captured, the nightmare turned historic. Scheffler became the first ever world #1 to lose all 4 matches in a Ryder Cup. 4 times he stepped up, 4 times he fell short. The scoreboard didn't lie. This wasn't bad luck. This was a breakdown. For a man known for consistency, calm, and quiet control, the sight was almost surreal. Fans who came expecting dominance were left rubbing their eyes. Analysts replayed his missed putts, dissected his body language, and questioned if they were witnessing more than just a bad weekend. Was this golf's Iron Man suddenly made of glass? The Ryder Cup has delivered heartbreak before, but never like this. For Team USA, it was humiliation. For Scheffler, it was a scar. And for golf, it was a storyline that refused to fade. Because when the #1 in the world crumbles, the sport itself shakes. And then came the moment that transformed a disaster into a revelation. Scheffler grabbed the mic, looked the world in the eye, and said the words no one expected. What he admitted next turned defeat into the story of the year. Bethpage Black was never meant to be subtle. It's a monster of a course, built to punish mistakes and test nerves. But in 2025, the real brutality didn't come from bunkers or rough. It came from the crowd. The same fans who were supposed to lift Team USA instead turned into an army of hecklers, their chants cutting sharper than any swing. This wasn't atmosphere, it was artillery. At first, the jeers were disguised as passion. A little boo here, a sarcastic cheer there. But by Saturday, the mask had slipped. According to TalkSport, even Scheffler himself, America's golden boy, felt the sting. Chants of "act like it" rang through the air, mocking the #1 player in the world. When your own crowd turns against you, who's left in your corner? The taunts weren't just loud, they were relentless. Fans shouted during backswings, sang insults in unison, and drowned out the tension of the match with the roar of chaos. What was once billed as home advantage began to feel like a hostile takeover. Bethpage didn't sound like golf, it sounded like a riot rehearsed to music. And Scheffler, usually calm as granite, began to fray. His shoulders tightened, his stride quickened, and every missed putt was met with a fresh wave of noise from the gallery. You could see it in his eyes, focus slipping, confidence bleeding out. It wasn't Europe beating him anymore, it was New York. By Saturday afternoon, the Ryder Cup had stopped looking like sport and started looking like spectacle. Cell phones recorded every outburst. Clips flew across social media before Scheffler even reached the next tee. The noise wasn't just on the course, it was online, multiplying, magnifying, echoing. The world wasn't watching golf, it was watching a meltdown on loop. And then came the breaking point. As Europe pulled ahead, the chants grew crueler, the boos heavier, and Scheffler's body language darker. It wasn't just a slump. It was the unraveling of a man under siege. This wasn't competition, it was collapse in real time. But the story wasn't finished, because when the last putt dropped, Scheffler didn't hide. He spoke, and what he admitted next cut deeper than any heckle ever could. The silence after his words hit harder than the noise that came before.
Just moments ago, Scottie Scheffler delivered one of the most jaw-dropping rounds of golf we've seen this year, and absolutely no one saw it coming. At the 2025 CJ Cup Byron Nelson, Scottie Scheffler didn't just play well, he sent shockwaves through the golf world. In what can only be described as a masterclass in dominance, Scheffler carded a stunning opening round of 61, then followed it up with a clinical 66 in round 3, building a lead that left the rest of the leaderboard gasping for air. 8 strokes ahead, let that sink in. In a tournament packed with talent, in front of his home state crowd in Texas, Scheffler turned a regular PGA Tour event into his personal showcase. And it wasn't just the score, it was how he did it. Calm, composed, surgical. From his first tee shot, he looked locked in. Fairways weren't just found, they were split. Approach shots weren't just close, they were aggressive and fearless. And the putter? Ice cold. Scheffler made it look easy, and anyone who's watched pro golf knows it never is. Commentators scrambled to describe what they were witnessing. Fans were buzzing online. Some even started asking if this was Scheffler's version of Tiger Woods at Pebble Beach in 2000. Too far? Maybe. But what's clear is that this performance came out of nowhere, and it has everyone talking. And here's the kicker. Scheffler hadn't won a single event in 2025 until now. He's been solid, sure. Top 10s, good form, always in the mix. But this is a gear no one expected him to find, especially not this soon in the season. So what does this really mean? Is this just one hot weekend? Or are we watching the beginning of something much, much bigger? Stick around, because what's happening behind the scenes might be even more impressive than what you saw on the scoreboard. Scottie Scheffler entered the 2025 CJ Cup Byron Nelson with a cloud of expectations and a season yet to yield a victory. Despite holding the world #1 ranking and boasting 5 top 10 finishes this year, including a T3 at Torrey Pines in February, a win had remained elusive. His consistent performances underscored his elite status, but the absence of a title added pressure as the season progressed. The CJ Cup Byron Nelson, held at TPC Craig Ranch in McKinney, Texas, presented both an opportunity and a challenge. Returning to his home state, Scheffler faced a field that, while not the strongest, included formidable competitors like Jordan Spieth and Sung Jae Im. The tournament's timing, just weeks before the PGA Championship, added to its significance. Weather conditions added another layer of complexity. Heavy rains earlier in the week softened the greens, potentially favoring aggressive play. However, thunderstorms and lightning led to significant delays, including a 6-hour suspension during the second round. Such interruptions tested players' focus and adaptability. Amidst these challenges, Scheffler's performance was nothing short of remarkable. He opened the tournament with a 10 under 61, setting a new 18-hole course record. Even after weather delays, he maintained his momentum, carding an 8 under 63 in the second round to reach 18 under through 36 holes. His ability to stay composed and deliver under pressure highlighted his resilience and skill. Scheffler's dominance at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson not only positions him for his first win of the season, but also sends a clear message to the golfing world. He's ready to reclaim his place atop the leaderboard. As the final round approaches, all eyes are on him to see if he can convert this commanding lead into a much-anticipated